Howdy.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Okay, thanks. So, usually when my trainers forward me over a dog, it's because of behavioral issues.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Drogo, if you just want to start from the top, I guess.
Barks a lot at everybody, which I don't mind as much, but it's the biting. So like last year, I actually tried to get into this place. I don't know, it's probably because of COVID and everything, because him and his brother got out and he bit a kid.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's bitten like 3 people in my house. For some reason, it's always my brother's girlfriends. And then
Brother's girlfriends?
yeah,
or?
well, yeah, he'd had one year, and then like,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then the other night, actually, like about a month ago, my girlfriend, who he's known for 3 years, went to her friend's house who has Akitas, and it was dark, and he bit her in the leg.
You mean she went to that house with the Akitas and then came home?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he also bit my cousin's husband, who he never really met, and he kind of just went up, and I told him.
Not to?
Yeah, and he was fine. Like Drogo, like licked his hand and everything, but then when he turned around, that's when he bit my cousin's husband in the stomach.
Okay.
He doesn't ever like maul, but he bites and makes it bark.
Does he hang on, or does he?
No.
Okay. Got it. Because he seems pretty fearful for the most part. How old is he?
I want to say 3, maybe 4. I'd have to look at the birth certificate.
Is he fixed?
Yes.
Okay. And when did it start happening, like the aggression?
Probably like year 2. They used to be very well trained, but then I'm in the military. I went away for like 3 months, and then I came back. They were like, it's like they forgot everything. They still know sit and stuff, but like with distraction, they're real bad when there's distraction.
Okay. Yeah, because you can tell, like, he's definitely fearful. Like, you can see by how his hackles are coming up. Kind of his bark is like, it's not like girthy. It's like roof, roof, roof. It's roofy, if you will. So it's a lot of. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously he'll bite, but it's not like he's. Dogs who are usually very vocal like this aren't the type of dogs that are gonna be like, now I'm gonna hurt you.
Right.
It's usually just like, get out of here. Who are you? Quit protecting. Like stuff like that. Like very like reactive, and he's reactive based off of like barking. So when he sees something he doesn't know or he's insecure about, he'll do this. And if you're not paying attention, like, so say your girlfriend walked in late at night, smelled like a bunch of other dogs, he knows your girlfriend, she comes into the door, he's like, hey, who are you? Bang, and he just immediately just grabs. So, because there's a big difference between a dog like attacking somebody and a dog just saying like, you scared the shit out of me.
Right, right.
And that's probably what he's doing, especially if it's just a little grab and go, if you will. Dogs who hang on, latch on, shake, spin, and continue to go after that person is like more of an aggressive type of demeanor, and you got to work with that dog a little bit differently. But with him, he's just like, you know, he's being very vocal because he's fearful.
This is like the calmest he's ever been with strangers too.
Oh, good.
When I first met Zach, he wouldn't stop barking.
That's what Zach said. Zach said he had to go at him a couple times. That's why he wanted me to work with him first.
Yeah.
And you can also tell, like, I'm always reading the dog's behavior, even when I'm talking to you, and I can tell, like, he would much rather go out that door than come in here. So if you're dealing with a dog that's actually aggressive and he really wants to hurt other people, and we've seen it where dogs are just banging off this, they're jumping over here, they're constantly coming after me. He's more like, I would be much happier if we just left.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're go ahead.
He's real bad with like other dogs too. Not his brother, but any other dog. And I don't know if it stems from it, but when I was training him before, we were in like a group class and he got bit by a German Shepherd. And like ever since then, because before that he played with them, but ever since then he does not go anywhere near other dogs. If he does, he's attacking them.
Okay.
And then he'll try to latch on.
Okay.
And he usually goes for like their neck or something.
Okay. So he's definitely, yeah, because a dog can certainly be super aggressive towards dogs and not like them, but also be fearful of people.
Right.
Because it's kind
Yeah.
of a different category. So, what is your main goal?
Not have to worry about him biting people when they come to the house.
Okay. And what training have you done before with him?
They were puppies, so just like the basic puppy course, so they can sit. They kind of do heel.
So just basic.
Yeah.
Okay.
They stay, but only if there's like no distraction.
Okay. Okay. Got it. All right, well, let's get to work.
Okay.
What I want to do is, your prong's a bit too big, so I'm going to
Yeah,
switch
that's
you
what
out.
Zach said.
I'm going to switch you out to something else. That's the thing with prong collars is it doesn't come with instructions or
Right,
anything. You
yeah.
just get one, you're like, I think this is it. So I'm going to get you a different one. So I'm going to get you a Herm Springer prong collar. That's
Okay.
kind of like just a generic
Yeah.
brand. And we're going to fit that better. So it's going to be right behind basically where his muzzle strap is where the prong collar is going to
Okay.
be. I'm going to use the prong collar because it's going to be safer for me to hold him out if he's trying to come after me. I'm not really going to be correcting him too much with it, I don't think. But I'm just letting you know I'm switching to the prong so I can safer maneuver him if he does come after me. And he's already kind of used to that pressure anyway. Does yours clip in like this?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this.
Well, maybe. Maybe I just never knew.
Yeah, so you probably put it right over the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how I get it on and
Yep.
off.
So let me see yours. So basically, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take them on and off this way.
Oh, all right.
Them. If you can basically pull it over their head, it's too big.
Okay.
Like, but that I'll show you.
Yeah.
That's why you're here, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I told Zach. I was like, I need training just as much as he does.
Yeah. So like this is a kind of a cheaper knockoff. I mean, you can tell the difference in the metals too. It's kind of a chintzier unit. So this is a Herm Springer Kurrigan. So basically, it doesn't have any nickel in it. It's I'm just using this because it's right here. So all you're gonna do is see this.
Yeah.
You're gonna clip this in like this,
Okay.
and then you're gonna. So don't do it too hard. All you do is literally slide it in,
Okay.
and then you're gonna hook my leash. Is that a 6 foot or a 4 foot? It's a 6 foot. You're gonna hook my leash. I just like using 4 foots.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
a nice leather leash.
This
but-
part right here, right?
Yeah, any of them. To be
Oh,
honest,
okay.
any of them. Just put it high and tight. See if that works. Is that too big? Or you feel like that's good?
I wouldn't really know.
Okay, that's true.
That's probably good, right?
Yeah, that's good for now. Here, go
Alright.
ahead and put this on. All right, and I'm just gonna take him in and work with them, and then I'll have you just have a seat. That's
Okay.
Good. That's good. I'm just gonna hold this for 1 second. Do you have any questions
Oh,
before we get started?
No.
All right, let me just
I'll
grab.
just take your cues.
I always use like this bed when I bring in a dog like him, just because if he comes at me, I don't have to like choke him out or correct him.
Yeah.
I can just kind of deflect him out a bit. Cool. Ooh. Good. And then you can just have a seat.
Okay.
So a lot of this.
Shut this right.
Yep. Thanks. A lot of this is confidence too. Like he's just a fearful, insecure dog. Not that a fearful, insecure dog can't, bite or whatever, like you're dealing with. And then of course, because of his obvious and clear, a little bit of anxiety towards you and stuff, we're gonna work on that. But it's a lot of confidence building stuff. Come on, bub. Okay. Okay. Come on. Come on. Okay. Okay, buddy. I know the muzzle's kind of annoying for him, but I'll just hang out with him for a second. So I'm just gonna get to know him. So I like to be very neutral with the dog. Perfect world would be outside, to be kind of walking around, getting grooving, but we're in a training center, so it's a lot easier for me to train right after this. And so I'm just hanging out with him, but I'm neutral. I'm not here with him. I'm not necessarily turning my back because I need to watch him if he tries to go after my leg. Because the Baskerville muzzle is a good muzzle for him, but they can still pinch you through it. I've been pinched a couple times through those. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of just pressure testing him. And I'm not really asking too much of him. Drogo.
Drogo, yep.
I've heard Drago, not Drogo. Drogo, come. Drogo, come here. Good boy. Okay. Good. Okay, so he's not going to, have too much of a problem with me, which is good. He's going to at the gate. So that means he's going to be more reactive in your hands. Obviously, he's not like an innate, aggressive, I'm going to kill everybody in the room dog, clearly. But he's going to be reactive with you around threshold. So that gate is going to become a threshold. You're going to become a resource of him to potentially guard. Sometimes dogs aren't guarding their humans because they love them. Oftentimes they're guarding their humans because they're insecure that you don't know what to do. So they're becoming protective for that reason. What's up, Brandon? How are you, man? Cool. Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Yeah, I know when I brought him and his brother to get fixed, he bit the vet tech.
Yeah.
But they said as soon as I left, he was calm.
Yeah. And that's going to happen. So with you, in your hands, he's going to be a loaded gun. And we have to do everything we can to teach you how to handle him.
Right.
And it's interesting, and it's kind of frustrating for most dog owners because they're like, I love this dog. I gave him everything that he ever wanted. And that may be true. But if you're lacking that leadership and that discipline, those two things with any dog really, but a German Shepherd in particular, you know, kind of anxious, working, give me something to do type of dog, it's going to heighten and it's going to really exacerbate everything to a further extent. So we're going to work on it. But judging by my behavioral assessment so far, it's primarily going to be, you know, you and him, not, you know, him and me. Because if I drop the leash, he's going to go to you.
Right.
He doesn't care about me. So normally if I'm working with a dog, it's because they continually have a problem with, like, you know, people other than you. So that's good because it's easier sometimes to kind of fix it through you. Now, he's not my buddy, but he's not going to continue to come after me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test him out. I'm going to let him go to you, and you just ignore him.
Okay.
I'll try not to let him jump on you. Good. Drogo, come. I'm just pressure testing him a little bit just to see if he reacts when he's, like, next to you. But he's not. He's just like, get me out of here. So, all right, so we're going to work on your relationship with him because that's what's causing a lot of this. Not 100% because there are certain scenarios where you might not directly be around, but he's still being opportunistic, which means it kind of means he has no filter. Like if you're holding him at the gate like you were, and he's sounding off, just going crazy, barking, lunging, all that stuff, he just doesn't care that you're there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like kind of punching your brother in front of your parents. You're like, I don't care they're there. I got no respect for them. I'll do what I want. That sort of thing. So we got to work on that. The daycare dogs are obviously sounding off too. Drogo, come here, bub. Good boy. Good boy. Good job. Hey, sit. Drogo, sit. Good boy. Good job. Break. Come here. Good boy. Drogo. Hey, Drogo. Drogo, come. Just kind of see how he does with me a little bit because I feel like. Drogo, come here, bub. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. So how do you feel like he's doing right now with me? Is this
Better than I thought he was going to.
okay? Cool. Good. Yeah, I don't think it's going to have anything to do with other people. I think there's just like your girlfriend coming in late at night. You got to think of your overall relationship with him. If he doesn't have that filter to say, I don't want to get in trouble, that's a bad move. Or maybe I don't even need to protect this place because dad knows what he's doing. That'll be really helpful. And to be honest, you know, it's really dog per dog. I've had Fortune 500 CEOs come in that run a huge company, you know, with tons of employees, and they can't work with a dog because it's a completely different thing.
Right.
So obviously it's nothing personal, but we're going to have to work on it. So what I want to do is have you handle them, and we'll start kind of cracking away at your handling with them, and
Okay.
we'll start developing a more confident, better relationship to him through you with me. Sound good?
Yeah.
You have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Well, if I get rid of all that, I still would like him to protect the house. You know what I mean?
He's always going to protect the
Okay.
house. I'm just saying, like I don't think you ever have to worry about him being submissive. I'm just saying, like, his thought process right now is, if he's protective, fine, but you don't have enough control for him to be protective, and you also don't have enough control for him to be protective and aggressive and
Right,
fearful, because
right,
that's when he's going to bite people. So say your girlfriend comes in late and he barks, which is normal for a Shih Tzu, you'd say, come, leave it, down, stay, place. You can't do any of that right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Because right now you come into the front area there, and he's basically just he's swinging at me, essentially. He's like, get out of here, and he's swinging at me, right? And so he doesn't care that you're there.
Right. Yeah. He would ignore my commands.
Yeah,
If I did that.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's always going to be protective. I don't think you ever have to worry about him, like, rolling over if somebody were to break into your house. You can grab the leash. But it's really about control. So I want to just go over retuning that up because he's anxious because of whatever's going on with your relationship with him. So what I want you to do is I want you to just work him around the room,
Okay.
and I want to see how he does with you. Just work with him like you would. I just want to see how you are with him.
You ever tell him like sit and stuff?
Whatever. Do whatever you want. It's not a test. I just want to see how you work with them,
Right.
you know?
Drogo. Drogo. Sit. Come.
If you want to take the muzzle off, you can. I feel comfortable with that because you're going to be handling him from on out. I just don't want it to bother him, you know? I feel like he's not going to be himself if he continues to try to get that off.
This way.
Okay. So what I want to do is create like a heel command with him. So heel is essentially him at your heels, like walking next to you. And that's what we want to work on because right now he's basically all over the place.
Right, right. Do you want me to show you how I learned how to do heel? All right.
Yeah.
Drogo, sit. Sit. Look, heel. You're going to do it here. Sit. Heel. 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 Well, at home, that's what I do when he does it. I just like put the treat and I swing my arm and he'll.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you got to remember, like, what a dog does at home is different from what they do in reality. And if the dog can't do it in reality, then it doesn't
really
exist.
matter.
Yeah. So we'll work on that. But do you have like a command for him to walk nicely next to you? Okay. So if that is your heel, we can change whatever you want to that, like with me or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Or Foos if you want to use German. But right now he's so disconnected from you. He's like, and he's not thinking about the next move. He's just thinking about getting out of here because he's stressed. So a couple different things is, I can grab a slip here in a second, but you gotta be mindful about. I'm gonna grab a slip really quick to show you.
Sit. Drogo, sit.
This is just one of the kennel leads, but I want to show you like how leash pressure works. So we're probably gonna switch to this in a second because it's gonna help with your handling. There's gonna be less room for error for you on this than it is the prong, because right now basically there's a lot of pressure. So every time that you pop. Try to give him a correct.
No.
Here, wait 1 second. Take that, yeah. Take one piece off and then hook it to his flat collar. Yeah, good. That's a safe play. Okay, so correct us for that? Yeah. So tell him to leave it. And
Leave it.
Good. Now just kind of walk him away and discourage that. Yep.
Leave it. Leave it.
Good.
Leave it. Leave it.
Okay, now come back.
Leave it. And then come back.
Yep, just come back this way. Now stop and just hang out right there. Good. So, I'm just seeing what he's thinking here. So when you're working with him, every time that you apply pressure, right, it's going to be a correction to him. So if we're correcting him all the time, like he's pulling and you're kind of snapping him back. He's pulling this way and you're kind of pulling him back. So he's not really getting precision corrections. He's not getting fair corrections either because every time he hits the end of the leash, he's basically kind of getting rounded back up. You want the corrections to be fast, like a quick snap. Does that make sense? So right now, you're kind of pulling. You're pulling up. So you want to snap it to kind of pop him out of what he's doing. And you want to correct him when he does react. Like right now when he's barking, he's getting away with it. So immediately when he does that behavior, you're shutting that down. You're discouraging that behavior. I feel comfortable discouraging that behavior immediately because it's going to get him into more trouble. So if he's got a bite history, he's looking at somebody like, hey, I feel like I'm going to come bite you because I want you out of here. I don't feel like he's not as much coming after me anymore after I handled him, but he's still going after Abby. He's still like, I'm not sure about that though. So you got to be consistent that when he's doing that type of bark and he's trying to be malicious, and he's trying to say, hey, if you don't leave, yeah, leave. So tell him to leave it, snap the leash.
Snap it. All right.
Yep. So hold on 1 second. I'll show you what that looks like. It's hard. It's like it takes practice to get this down. So when you're correcting him, like see how this works? Right now, he's going like this, and he's getting to the end, and you're kind of just pulling him back. Pulling him back. Ruff, 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 pulling him back. What you want to do is snap it like this. So it's the same equivalent to a correction on here. This is just going to be safer to use because of his size and because of his strength. He's putting a lot of strength on this, and you need to be able to snap it to get his attention. We're not trying to choke him out or even pull him back. We're trying to snap him out of it. We're literally saying, no, you can't do that. So again, I feel very confident and totally comfortable, and I think it's really fair for us in the beginning right now to as soon as he builds like that and says, I'm going to take a piece out of that person because I don't want him in here, correct him for it. Inappropriate. You never want to see it. You don't want another bite. You don't want to get sued. You don't want him getting taken away. So we are definitely correcting that behavior immediately. Boom. So when you're doing it, again, be mindful about how much pressure you're putting on this. Every single time you pull on this, you're like, no, no, no. But there is a difference between a correction and pressure. So say you ask him to sit and he is kind of slow at it. You could give him pressure on the prong and it kind of slides up and he's like, okay, good. So negative reinforcement. He turns the pressure off through compliance. He's like, okay, this is you're annoying me. I'm going to sit. My bad, whatever. The correction is going to be more of a no way.
Okay.
Nope. And some people use that in a heel because they're super serious about their heel. Some people use it when the dog's jumping. Whatever you're correcting and whatever you're discouraging with your dog, you can pop that collar. But if you don't do it right, it'll never work. And this is something that a lot of dog owners have a problem with. So when you're doing it, it's almost a flick. So bang, bang, like correcting. So right now when he's pulling forward, he's almost extending this prong halfway. Once he gets to here, you have no leverage because he's doing this. Then you're pulling him back again. So you almost have to come out and pop him back and use that leverage. And it's a timing game. It's a practice game. You're going to get better at it. But essentially what you want to do is he's going to do that behavior, and he may be doing it because he's, again, insecure. He may be doing it because he's just being an a-hole, and he's like, I just want to, screw this lady. I don't know her. Get her out of here. I don't want her around. There's many different reasons, the insecurity reasons, the genetics reasons, the boredom reasons. For me, I worry about the reasons usually after the fact that once we get everything under control. So we're correcting that behavior. Hey, man, settle down. And then we'll start working with him and feeling him out a little bit and pulling off layers to see where this is coming from. I personally think it's just coming from a little bit of both. He's gotten away with so much that normally outside of a dog training camp, he barks like that at somebody and they're, okay, see you later, man. Like normally they're just leaving. So he's kind of pushing that envelope a little bit. And some dogs become obsessed with that where they're like, roof, roof, bye-bye. And then they condition the dog.
Right.
So anyway, so when you're handling him, going back, that's questions.
No, not
okay.
yet.
So when you're handling him with obedience, because we have to have some sort of obedience. We have to have some sort of, what are we going to do other than just wait for him to correct? Wait for him to mess up. We don't want to do that. We want to be more on the opposition of getting him to heel and do obedience for the majority of the time that we're handling. And if he sounds off for whatever reason, bang, end it right there. Nope, not going to happen. So when you're handling him, your heel right now is kind of like a teardrop heel. That's what they call it, is basically when the dog comes around like this and comes around like this, right?
Yeah.
Kind of swings back to your leg, which is totally fine. But that's not going to be a movement thing. It could be. You can certainly kind of slide it in with the moving heel, but because you've kind of worked on that in an isolated behavioral routine, I think it would be better if we just say something else, like let's go or foos or with me. What do you want to say?
I'll do with me.
Okay, so with me is going to be him at your left side, walking at your heels. That's typically why we use heel as heel, because we want the dog at our heels. Make sense?
Yeah. I get it.
Perfect. So what you're going to do is, right now, because he probably won't do his heel, his teardrop heel, don't worry about that right now. I'm not so much worried about that. I'm more worried about your engagement and you start to build a relationship with him. So when you're handling him, like, so see how he kind of puts pressure on that collar?
Mm-hmm.
So can you just do me a favor and pull it up closer to the behind his ears? It might just need a link out, but I don't want to waste any time. So you kind of just pull his fur down. Yeah.
No.
Leave it.
Leave it.
Yep, that's okay. But do you see how you got on top of him and then he got more reactive?
Mm-hmm.
So when we do police training or personal protection training or any type of training like that, that's exactly what we do. Is we get the dog in between our legs and we say, hey, there's the bad guy, and we rev him up. And it's an easy target, you know. So it encourages the dog to be more protective if you're sitting here kind of like this. It could have been the reason why he just did that, but besides the point, he's not allowed to do that because his intentions are pretty bratty. So anyway. But you see how that was a pull?
Yeah.
He kind of went forward, and you almost lifted him up and pulled him back. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to discourage the behavior right when he does it. It's called positive punishment in the operant conditioning quadrant, right? So when he reacts negatively, nope, punishing it. But when he starts to do good in the healing or the with me, in the sitting and the leave it, we're going to start rewarding him and encouraging that. This is the behavior we want to see. This is the stuff that's going to get you taken away from me, and we got to shutting that down. Not going to happen. So you're going to practice this. So we're saying with me, or let's go. I can't remember.
With me.
Okay, let's put him. Do you normally handle on the right or the left?
Yeah, because I used to walk him and his brother together. And
His
other brother's always on my left.
Okay, that's fine. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your left hand and put everything in that. Yep. And then no, you can keep them there. I just want everything in one hand. That's all. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. There you go. Good. So the reason why I want you to have everything in one hand is because I feel like your leash is your communication lifeline to the dog. And it becomes third party if you have a hand here, and then it goes down to the dog. Because you're kind of like telling this hand to tell this hand to tell the dog.
Right.
So I just keep it right here. Just to relax like that. Now if he starts to build, and we're going to try to make this as positive as humanly possible with him. With me, good with me, buddy, using positive reinforcement. He's probably not going to take food because he's too stressed right now. We already tried that. But all you need to do is verbally reward him. Hey, man, you're doing good. Give him an opportunity to have some fun here. And then when he starts to build, he starts to growl, he starts to react, leave it, snap, correct him, discourage, shut it down. And then you move forward. Once he barks, say he barks at Abby. You walk by, he barks, leave it, correction. He's like, oop, that was uncomfortable. And your timing is perfect. Well, your timing should be perfect, and it's going to be perfect once you get better at it. But the timing of the discouragement is telling him that the behavior he just did is what caused that discomfort. It caused that correction. And then when he stops, you say, good, leave it. You come back, you do it again. He looks at Abby and doesn't bark. Yes, good, leave it. Good decision. And then you start modifying that. And with a reactive, fearful dog, you have a great opportunity and advantage to probably modify the way he thinks too. Because he doesn't want to do the things that he's doing for the most part. So when he sees Abby, he's like, I don't want to bark anyway. And you're like, hey man, good job. And then maybe in the future when he's not so stressed, you jackpot him with a big thing of cheese. And he's like, whoa, this is way better. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you're going to do with me, all you're going to do is walk from here to here and back. Now when you're doing this, it's a lot. When you're doing this, just be as calm as possible.
Okay.
Less is more. So don't do this on the leash. Don't hold your leash up. Don't give him pressure. Because your communication with him is that leash in your hand.
Should I give him more?
No, I would say right where you were was perfect. Right there is perfect. So you just go with me and your shoulders are straight. You're basically walking, act like you're walking to the gate to leave. You're walking straight over and your shoulders are straight and you're very confident and you come right back.
Okay.
Try that first. See how you do.
With me.
Good. Now turn and go the other way. With me.
With me.
And then good with me. Good.
Good with me. Good with me.
So see how he's cutting. So don't let him do that.
Do I snatch it though?
Nope, you don't. Great question. That would be the difference between, again, the correction and pressure. Because right now he doesn't really fundamentally understand how to capture this with me. He doesn't know what it is.
Right.
So we're not going to correct him for that. We're just going to give him a little bit of pressure. So when you're here and you're handling him and he's like, that's his thing though, is he's getting right? And he's like, I got to go over here. No, hey, relax. So when he slides this way or he slides any other way, pressure.
Okay.
Remember I talked about that when he's sliding that way, you just give him a little bit of, you're not snapping him because that's a correction. You're giving him a little bit of pressure.
But I wouldn't want to lift up either, right?
Nope, don't lift up.
Okay.
Don't, no lift offs here.
Yeah.
Just kind of, leave it. So snap. So snap.
Right now?
Yeah, not now,
okay.
but next time. And I know he's kind of randomizing, but go ahead. Heel?
With me.
Or with me, yeah, sorry. Good. Good with me.
Good with me.
And then turn back around.
With me.
Good, now just keep walking. Good. Pressure, there you go. Now, yep, now release. Now back again. Just work on this. Good with me. And then
Good
just
with me.
try to look forward. Don't look at him so much.
Okay. With me. With me.
Just keep walking when he does that. He'll yep, see? Good.
Good with me. With me.
So you're tuning him up right now. Because he's so used to like being all over the place. So you got to keep him in line here. And then this time, just turn and go. Don't wait. Much better. Good with me.
Good with me. Good with me.
There you go. And let's do that one more time. We're going to give him a little break. See how much better that was?
Yeah.
Just turn and go and use that momentum. Nice. Nice. Good with me,
Good
buddy.
with me.
Good.
Good with me.
Good. Now turn back around and just chill. You don't have to ask him to do anything. Stop and just hang out. Now if he barks, you're going to correct him, but just nice and relaxed. That was good. So you got that kink out there. So
I just got to remember to say good with me.
Yeah.
Give him praise for that
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
So remember that the easiest thing for dog owners to do is like that sit command, like sit, good sit. You got to pay him. So he knows that it's okay, and he knows that it's good, and he knows that's the right thing. So when you turn and you say with me, and he's in where he want him to be, you say good with me. Because if we're going to correct him, we're going to give him pressure, we're going to tell him what he can and can't do, we got to make sure that we're on the other side too to reward him when he does good, so he knows what he's doing. So this little kink here, a lot of dog owners have this problem, is when they turn, the dog's kind of like, he said, I want to go that way. And he gave you a little bit of fight, and he changed your whole body. And you're a pretty big guy, so I can't imagine him forcing you to do that. He basically mentally turned you around, because he was like, I want to go that way. And you turned, and you were kind of like, hey, man. So the second time after you turned, you just walked. And he slid right into place, because you didn't give him that kind of like, yeah, but. You just said, we're going. And after that, he's like, oh, okay. And he slid beautifully. But that little change right there will start to stack up in your favor as like changing the relationship for the better. Because he's used to saying, no, I don't, come on, Dad, I want to go out, I want to go out. And you're kind of used to saying, come on, man, let's go. And having this 3 to 5 second little conversation, that's a problem. Because that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, come on. But now you're like, no, we're going. So he's going to start going, oh, you're serious? Like, we're going? You're like, yeah. And you're already over in the other side of the room before he can realize what happened. And that will start turning the gears for him a little bit. So anyway, I wanted to emphasize on what you just did and why that matters. Because that's why we're doing these small little exercises.
Right.
Next step is the with me is something that's going to take you some time, because there's dogs that just get in a routine to just be on the prong and the leash and they just go. They go out and pee and poop. You go out for a nice walk, they come back, but they're not really engaged. They're not really in control. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start slowing things down. So slow things down and kind of walk in slow motion. And like horsemanship, like when you apply like you pull a horse reins back, they're going to go back. Pull them to the right, they're going to go to the right, so on and so forth, right? So when he goes forward, you're going to start slowing down a little bit and keeping him in line with leash pressure. Small little taps on the leash, just popping him backwards, not up, not sideways, just a little bit of pressure back to keep him with you. So you're creating an invisible line right here to say, hey, pay attention to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What this is going to do is he's going to start looking up at you, and he's going to start being engaged. Because right now when you move forward, he's tunnel vision, door, outside, car. That's what he's doing. You got to slow everything down and say, hey, man, stop and smell the roses. Pay attention to me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you move forward, you're just going to say, with me, and you're going to slow down. You can go in a couple circles or a couple lines back and forth, but slow everything down and kind of keep them in line.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready.
With me. Good with me. With me.
I would choke up on your leash just a little bit so you don't have to hold your elbow. Yeah. There you go. Good with me.
Good with me.
That's better. Good with me. Yep.
Good with me.
See how you kind of keep him into place? But just slow your walk down and then look forward. Yep. He's with you, you're not with him. So you kind of control the walk. Practice this, because this takes a ton of practice for dog owners, because you're so used to just hanging on.
Right.
And then release your pressure if he's doing well.
Good with me.
It's kind of the goal. There you go. Perfect. Good with me, buddy. Yep. Yep. Slow down a little bit. Good with me. Good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And stop and just ask him to sit.
Drogo, sit.
Good sit. Now release
Good
your
sit.
pressure. Nice and relaxed. That was nice. Did you see how right there he started to look up and slow down? I call that red light, green light. So you go out and you're kind of like, hey, pay attention. And the dog's kind of like doing this because they just want to pay attention. They don't want to get in trouble, but you're kind of forcing them to engage a little bit.
Right.
But you got to let them know, like, you can have that if he wants it.
Oh.
I didn't know if he was going to take it, but good. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. This will probably take you like a week and change to really understand how to do all of this. But what you're doing is you got to think about a micro and a macro. So we're going to go very granular, we're going to go very big. The micro is, the small picture, is when you're working with him, it's an inside job. It's you and him. Nothing else matters. That not only helps with his reactivity because he's so engaged with you, but it also will build your relationship up that probably causes this reactivity in the entire first place. Because he's got a job. You're in charge. Yes, no. Kind of like the military a little bit, right? You're giving him structure. Wake up at this time, put on your boots, blah, 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 blah. There's guidelines every single day that you have to do. You said you were in the military, right?
Yeah.
So, right? So it's like bing, 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 bing. But if you have a dog that's kind of like, that structure, like he wants to say, what do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? And he just doesn't know the behaviors well enough. So it's like, hey, wake up at 6. What's 6? Show up at the mess hall. What's that? Where's that? I don't know what that is. So right now we're kind of battling two different things. Is we're teaching him the behaviors to follow, which is, it takes a little bit of time. So you're doing great. But ultimately, I know it's kind of like, what does this have anything to do with the reactivity to Abby or myself? But the reactivity is caused from lack thereof.
Right.
He's just like, but if you're like, hey man, and you start really keeping him in line and start putting him into his place, he'll look at you entirely different and the rest of the world. So that's why we're doing this.
Okay.
Okay? So I want you to practice this. I want you to spend a couple minutes on this. Do you have a break command? Okay. One more thing for you. So the break command, it's basically heal and break. That's all we're working on right now. Heal and break. That's it. The break command is essentially saying, you're done. You can do what you want. Normally I'd bring out my dog and show you what a break command is, but I don't want to get him fired up. But essentially, if I have my dog in a heel right here, and I'm walking like this, she's going to follow me. I'm going to throw the ball. She's going to look at me. I'm going to say break. Boom. She's going to get the ball. Work. Play. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The first week you do it, he's not going to know it, obviously. What I like to do is, does he like a ball or something like that?
Yeah.
Tug toy? Perfect.
He plays with like his ball. I can't really. Well, I guess I can throw it. It's like the horse ball.
Well, get a tennis ball or something.
Yeah, I can.
So get anything he likes. And what I usually do in the beginning is I heel with him like this. Good heel, good with me. Good with me, buddy. Stop and then break, and I'll throw an item. So the break is kind of conditioned with I'm moving away from you. I'm done working. It's kind of like a manual transmission. Heel, break into neutral. If you don't have a break command, he's not always going to be sure if he's working or he's not.
Right.
So you want to compartmentalize it. Hey, wake up at 6, and then you're off at 7. Got it. Versus show up at 6. When am I done? And then it's kind of like, are we done yet? Like, do I have 2 more hours? Do I have 2 more minutes? Like, I don't know. But with him, because he needs that structure, it's all structure is really for him. Do this. Okay, now do this. Do this. Now do this. Very basic. And you're literally gonna reprogram your whole relationship with your dog because of all of this. And you're going to see dramatic decreases in his anxiety, and you're going to see just more control and stuff. So anyway, once we get these stepping stones, then we can do advanced obedience. We can do the place and the down and the stay and get people walking in and out. We can get other dogs around. We can't get to that point without this foundation though. So I want you to work on the with me, and I want you to work on, you can stop, sit, and then just all you do for break is break. And so right here when we're healing, my body is right next to him. When I'm breaking, I kind of go break, and I move myself to the side, and my voice inflection is a little bit girly, higher pitched. Hey, break, be a dog. And just hang on to the leash.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So with me, sit, break. Try it.
With me. Good with me.
Yep.
Good with me.
And just remember, shoulders straight, heads forward. And the only time you're putting pressure on that collar is if he's not in line. Good with me.
Good with me.
And you can start going like stop and goes a little bit, so slowing down, moving forward.
Okay.
Good with me.
Good with me.
Good, now come back around and stop and sit.
Sit, Drogo, sit.
Correct them for, yep.
Sit.
Just a little bit of,
Sit. Drogo, sit.
so pull a little bit of pressure up. Yep, and then maybe up and down. There you go. So correct him if he barks because he's thinking about it.
Sit.
Good sit.
Good sit.
Good
Good boy.
sit. So he's just being a little pushy, that's all. Now just work on your break. So you just say break.
Break.
There you go. Break. And then what you would do is like, you would have like a treat or you'd have a ball. And you'd say break. And that's kind of like how you would say, okay, be a dog. Does that make sense? That's it. So right now we're gonna kind of throw everything together here in a second. But what you need to do is you need to say, basically what you're saying is pay attention. Nope. Pay attention. That's what the with me, that's what the heel is. Hey, right here. No, you're not here. You're not in front of me. Right here. Because for an animal with 4 legs, he has to be very conscious and mindful to heel with you because he's got to walk in slow motion. So that's what you're doing. And then you're like, okay, good job. Okay, now break. Be a dog. So your healing and your breaking are very incremental. So when you go back home, it's just going to be you and him. It's not going to be the other dog. That'll be too much. And you're going to work on small increments. So it could be a distance duration, or it could be a duration where you're working on, okay, I've done it for 30 seconds, break. Let's try for 40 seconds, then break. 45 seconds, then break. Okay,
You mean 45 seconds like walking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What you're trying to, it's like working out. What you're trying to do is you're trying to condition him to go further, longer, faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're going to break him. So if you go out, like if you were to walk out there right now and he's just cooked, he's completely tired, right? You're not going to say, you're not going to ask him to heel out there. You're just going to say break, let him be a dog. If you see another dog or if you need him to work, you're going to turn it back on. But it toggles, the toggle is predicated off of you. You're either working him or you're not. But you don't want him to decide when he's working or he's not. That's the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to have you do this in a minute. We're going to want to let him chill for a second. Good. He's doing good. I just think the only thing that you have to work on is just slowing down a little bit. And then what I want you to do is, if you could, take a link out of that prong collar, and I think it's going to fit better if you take one out. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well done. That was quick. How's it fit? Does it fit a little bit better?
Yeah, it's a little bit snugger up there.
Okay. So the more snug the collar is, the more control you're going to have, the more power steering you're going to have. So I want you to continue to do this. Just literally walk into, I always say the dog's name to like let him know.
Right.
Drogo heel, or with me, and then good with me, and just keep him right in line. But just try to test him out a little bit. So when you're walking, slow down, kind of keep him right with you. Okay? So whenever you're ready.
Drogo with me.
But be careful like on the pressure, like there. Like you see how you kind of,
Yeah.
be careful with that.
With me.
Because then when you actually need to correct him, it's going to be less.
Right.
Because you're using it constantly for like, just try to use your body, a little bit more. That's good. Good with me.
Good with me.
Better, good. Yep. Do this one more round, just nice and calm. And on this pass, if he barks at Abby or whatever, just pop that collar right to the side and tell him to leave it.
Leave it.
Better, better. Now keep walking. Well done. Now turn back around and stop. Don't even, just right there. That was so good. So just walk up a little.
yank it though, right?
Yep, walk up a little bit and now stop. That's how you always want him. You don't want him behind you, right? Like if I'm standing in front of you and somebody asks for directions, they're going to ask me because I'm in front of you.
Right.
I'm the point of contact. So that's how you should always be with him when you're in public, for sure. That was the best one yet. That was so cool to see. So
Before I think I was nervous about hurting him, but.
Yeah, but think about this. Great, and I would be too, right? You're a dog owner who loves your dog, like myself, who got into this forever ago myself. I love animals. I would never want to cause them any type of harm as far as a correction goes. Okay, I'm just making sure they're together because it blends in. Anyway, so you're good. That's why the safety clip's on. So if you ever pop
I
that...
actually really like that thing.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
We sell them with all of our prongs. They come with our prongs. So we'll probably get you, I think we got another shipment, so we'll get you set up.
Okay.
But that was really good. So you're walking, and I know so like right now he's kind of building a little bit. So see, he's kind of, leave it. So
Right
tell
now?
him just tell him to leave
Leave it.
Good. Now, good. Now just get back in line. Don't let him get in front of you. See how he's kind of doing that? There you go, right there. So now you're going to play it. What's that?
I would move. Though.
Right.
Okay.
You're going to move. It's a big power move on your end where that was perfect. All of that was so good because he's learning new stuff. So when you're walking right here, I know he has a problem with Abby because she's holding a camera, which is odd and weird to some dogs that, they're doing this, right? Makes sense. So when you're coming, that's why I was preparing you. Like if he starts to build, leave it, snap. You didn't fully snap, but it was better than it was. And you saw him, he's like, oh, he felt that pressure. Mm-hmm. The Hermspringer plays a huge role because it's fit right, so it worked. Because you saw him, he was like, oh crap.
Yeah,
and he
he
didn't, that was the first time here, and I don't know about at home, that when he started to build and you corrected him, he stopped. That was it, it shut it down. He started to go like this, you went down. And then when you came back around, I was listening to his breathing, watching Abby, and I looked at him, and he started to build a little bit. You said, leave it, and he went around you, and he's like, okay, I don't want to get that again. We want a little bit of that fear, right? We want him to, like when my mom used to look at me a certain way, I was like, okay, I'm sorry, right? There's fear of consequence. It's natural, and that's what saves us, right? Like, put him back behind you. Yep. He's constantly going to want, right there is perfect. Kind of like it's hunting season right now, so good. A deer will smell a human or they're gone because it keeps them alive. They're fearful of that, right? So anyway, it's kind of animal instinct, but I want you to keep doing this because this is the most impactful stuff that you can do with them. So I want you to keep practicing.
With me.
And if he reacts, you're just going to correct him. Good with me.
Good with me. Cool. Leave it. Leave it.
There you go. The second one there. Perfect. First one was a pull. Second one was a pop. You probably felt that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yep. Good. So keep working on that. Very good.
Good
now,
with me.
if he does good and he doesn't bark
Good
at
with
Abby,
me.
make sure you reward him heavily.
Leave it.
Yes.
Good
Good
boy.
leave it.
Good
now
leave
break.
it.
Break. Give him a break.
Break.
Good. And kind of pat him on the side and reward him. Yeah, buddy. Good job. Good. Now you can just hang out here. Now just be conscious, where he's at. So questions.
No.
So this is great because I don't want to work with him right now because his muzzle's off, and I don't want to have him make a mistake because I know he has a bite history. So I'm kind of Pinocchioing through you, and you're doing fantastic. But did you feel? You can feel the mechanics of it. He pulls, and you're kind of like you get no. It kind of just drags him back. The second time you got cuckoo, and it popped him, and he's like. But he shut down, right? So the next time you went by, so leave it.
Leave it.
Good. And I
I'm
wouldn't
trying to get in front of him, but how
Right.
do I get in front of him?
leash
without-
pressure back. There. Now hold him there. And you could put him into a sit if that's easy.
Drogo, sit.
And then pressure up. Straight up.
Sit.
Yep. Now release. Good. So now you're holding him accountable because he's pushy. You can tell he's like, nah, right? So you're saying SIT, and before, like if you asked him to sit when he was reacting, he wouldn't have sat. Or maybe even before this session, he wouldn't have sat if he was into something. So now what you're doing is you're holding him accountable. So put him back into a sit.
Drogo, sit.
Pressure up, release once he sits. Yep, good. So the reason why we're doing that, again, is go to your room. Kid goes to the room like this, and they're like, hey, you guys watching cartoons? They go out. What'd mom say? I don't care. So you ask him the SIT, and he's like, ooh, look at the time. And he walks away. That's a big problem in your relationship. So what do you do then? So put him back into a sit. What do you think you would do here?
With what?
Like, how do we get him out of his sit then?
With me?
Yeah. How would you do it? Oh, no, sorry. With me is your heel. No.
Oh,
so
break.
basically you would, exactly.
Okay.
So again, he's working right now. You said SIT. So he's not to do anything other than sit until you break him. This is going to be all new for you.
Yeah.
But you have to hold him accountable. Because when you ask him to do something, you have to take it seriously. So somebody come. So see how he's starting to build here? I think he kind of works himself up. If you see him doing that, try to very simply just like, Drogo, come. And you just kind of pull him back. So we don't want to correct him for almost.
Right.
You want to try to, what can we do with positive reinforcement and an alternative behavior to digress him from potentially barking? So if he's starting to go like, hey, I'm a little nervous about this, what I would ask you to do is say, hey man, come over here. Good. Just, you don't have to leave the room like some people do. They completely avoid this. Just break him out just a little bit because he's starting to load like a tea kettle. And all you do is you say, hey, come over here for a second. 1 second. Okay, good job. And then you reset. You break his build, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but why would I say come instead of leave it in that instance?
Great question. Because what I like to do with dogs is he's starting to build. You could do both, but I'm trying to avoid the potential conflict of the correction.
Right.
So if you can start to see him go, instead of like, hey man, knock it off, you can say, hey, come over here for a second, right?
Okay.
And then you go right back. It's an alternative.
Okay.
Because you're not going to always have the space to tune him up in situations. And again, if we can avoid the conflict, so he's like a tea kettle. He starts to build and build and build, and then he'll, boom, explode. Like he's done it multiple times here. He's just random, boom. So if you can hear him and see him start to, his ears go back, he's tea kettling up. If you can just say, hey man, shake it off. Okay, cool, come right back.
Kind of like when your kid starts to act crazy and you give her a baby dollar.
Yeah, hey,
That's what I'd have to
hey,
do
let's go over here for a second
yeah.
instead. Oh, okay, sure. Now, it's just an alternative. I'm just giving you options.
Yeah.
Now, if he starts to build and you come out and he still barks, then you would go back to leave it. I'm just giving you an alternative to escape the potential conflict that you might have with him with the prong. But when he does bark, you're going to need the prong to, he's going like this, you need to say, hey, it's worked absolutely beautifully here so far, and it's going to continue to work better. So what I want you to do is continue to practice this, because you can tell it's kind of like, it's a brain game for you too.
Right.
Because you're trying to like operate, but really it's asking him to, with me, say his name with me, don't pop him. So you've done that a couple different times
where I've pulled him up. Yeah.
That's a correction or pressure. You say his name with me and you walk. He'll walk right with you. You turn, you walk past different distractions. You can tell him to leave it, right, which is the verbal. If he doesn't, you can reinforce with the correction. So just like with sit, we don't want to do this with the dog every time and take out a piece of food and say SIT, because then this is the only reason why they're sitting. This is a reinforcer if they do the right thing. We're encouraging that. Positive punishment, we talked about it earlier. You say leave it, your reinforcement behind leave it is to correct him with, in this case, a prong collar for him because it's going to make the most sense. So let's go ahead and practice this.
With me.
There you go. Good.
Leave. Good with me.
I'm just doing a little distraction here. Good. Much better heel. So good with me. Yep, pay him
with
for that.
me.
Good,
Good
with
with
me,
me.
buddy. Good. Nice job. Well done. It's nice. Good. Yep. Good with me.
Good with me.
Now what you can do, hold on 1 second. See how he's kind of forging forward? Like he does it to Abby too. Like he'll kind of forge and look at the other person. Use your right leg. So come back this way. I'll show you. Well, however you were set up. Okay. So say I'm a person outside. What you would do is you would walk this way, and if he starts to kind of like eye this person, in this case me, you can use your right leg to cut him off. So let me explain. You'd go out like this. He starts to build this way. Again, I'm giving you an exercise to decrease some of that build. He starts to build this way, cut him off, and just go back the other way for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Again, taking him off the steam, taking him off the heat a little bit. So you're using your body to say, hey, let's make a different decision. Because you might get people like that guy, hey, you know, and he's like, and you're like, you go the other way. So try that out. So walk this way. So with me?
With me.
Good. Now cut him off with your right leg and go the other way. There you go.
Right,
There
I
you
like
go.
Pull back a little too.
Just a little bit of pressure back, yeah. And you would do the same thing. So do it again coming this way. Just, yep. There you go. Because he keeps looking over at us. The more you do that turn into him, the more he's going to focus on you because he doesn't want to get stepped on.
Right.
So do some of those. I mean, you're a big guy. Use your body for an opportunity to really cut him off. You just take your right leg and just slide it over and just cut him off. That'll get him to really be in tune with you.
Good with me.
Yep. Very good with me. Good with me. That's so much better. So much better. Good with me. Good. Good with me, buddy.
Good with me.
No reactions. Good with me. Very good. Now cut him off, go the other way. Yep, just like that. Perfect. And just keep walking. There you go. Slide him into place. Nice job. And then whenever you're ready, we'll turn around, we'll ask him the SIT, and then we'll give him a little break.
Drogo, sit.
Good sit.
Good boy.
Good. Good sit, buddy. Good. Now give him a break.
Break.
Break. So you see how that kind of like releases him? So that was really good. Very good. It's hard to kind of do what we're doing because I have to essentially work him through you, and you have to kind of do it for me like a robot. So you're doing very good. Do you have any questions on that?
Does this only apply when like the leash is on? Like how would I, or are we just not there yet?
Not there yet.
Okay.
It's a great question though, because that's everyone's next step is like in the car or at the house.
At the house, yeah, that's my main worry.
We have to, you can't,
Right.
you know, it's like showing up to the job site where they just poured the foundation and they like, what's the colors of the shutters? When are they going up? It's like, wait a second. So that's something that we'll get to,
Yeah.
but you want to build a really nice foundation. So when you get up there to that point where you're advanced, you're off leash, you're working in the house, you're working in the car, you have all of that foundation. He does this little build. Anyway, but yeah, we'll work on that. But you know, the first session, it takes, you got to get everything else out, but you're doing great. But in the future, I would recommend probably doing some remote collar training with him. That's going to be huge because of somebody potentially coming into your house and then you being able to, again, the prong collar, the e-collar, the treats, the harnesses, the flat collars, all the equipment are reinforcers. Our voice is what matters. If we're doing good at training, our voice is going to end up being what the dog listens to. But in the beginning, like bumpers when you're bowling, you throw a ball down the lane, you've never bowled, it's going to bounce off, you're going to tweak things, you're going to get better. Then they go away. So when you're using this equipment with him, your voice is going to be like, hey, here. And he's like, hey, you haven't ever reinforced me from off leash. That's where the e-collar starts to come in. That's where that advancement comes in.
I used to use that on them, but they only listened when I had it in my hand.
Right.
Like the little remote.
Yep. Yeah, we'll work on it. But that's something that you can do in the future. But right now, you're starting to gain that control and you're starting to hold them accountable. It's a lot of work. Questions, concerns, comments?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think, how much would you recommend doing this at home?
Yeah, not nearly as long as we just did it, but I would say 10 minutes with me, sit, break. With me.
And like in the backyard would be fine?
Yeah, and then you're going to build out. So the minimal amount of distractions, the better in the beginning. But he did really good, and you did really good with your handling.